My name is Kara Adan, and today I'll be talking about how creative media can be used as a platform to promote regenerative tourism in the education setting. So just some info about me. I'm technically a Honolulu Community College transfer student, and I graduated from Millennium High School many years ago. I actually work there now. And I'm currently in the creative media program with a concentration in general creative media. So just an overview of my presentation, the following slides will cover the plans for the creation of my senior capstone website, my thesis statement, and the objective and rationale of the research that was conducted, and also the significance behind my proposed project. So when trying to identify my topic and research, I asked the question, can educational resources help reduce or prevent the negative impacts by the tourism industry in Hawaii? And after conducting research based on this question, I found that this type of initiative would be best implemented at the foundational level of early education, meaning K through 12. So by integrating natural, cultural, marketing, and community-based education with Hawaii-specific objectives, future generations will have the tools and resources to effect positive environmental, cultural, and social change, all while supporting and contributing to the tourism industry in a more sustainable way. So the purpose is to utilize creative media as a platform to integrate the fields of education, tourism, environmental, and cultural preservation. And in order to do this, research was conducted to identify specific problems and gaps. And the research indicated that there was a disconnect between Hawaii's local population and problems associated with tourism and its effects on Hawaii's natural resources. So in general, because of my interest in these fields, such as education, the environment, and of course, the place that we live in, I thought of how tourism has affected where and how we live, both positively and negatively. And, even before researching, I realized that this was a very complex subject. So my senior capstone plans, this project will result in a website that utilizes industry standard user interface and user experience design practices. And this website will contain resources for teachers and schools to use in order to support regenerative tourism. And this regenerative tourism model, this kind of aims to restore this balance that has been harmed in a way and on the place that we live. So by taking this kind of holistic approach, we can approach sustainability and regeneration from within and hopefully grow and flourish throughout the community and then hopefully beyond as well. So significance. So for first significance, Hawaii's greatest source of revenue is generated from the tourism industry. So the tourism industry earns the state billions of dollars every year. And unfortunately, this does come at a great cost to Hawaii's natural, cultural, and social resources. So the very same factors that originally attract visitors are finite and have been degrading over time. So there's currently a disconnect between the industry and the community when it comes to understanding and maintaining this healthy balance. So the idea is kind of that this relationship between industry and community is cyclical. So whatever you do to one will definitely affect the other. So the future implications, the idea is to create a restorative relationship instead between the two entities, meaning the industry and community, so that they can continue to support each other in a more sustainable way. And a more healthy ecosystem doesn't prioritize one over the other, and they're linked, right? So both sides should be considered when making decisions that will affect the state as a whole. So significance two, this proposed project aims to produce a centralized bank of resources that integrates education, sustainable tourism practices, and an understanding of Hawaii's unique resources. The significance of this website is that it will serve as a visual link between the tourism industry and Hawaii's unique resources. By creating this tangible medium, hopefully this visual link will foster a more meaningful connection to the land itself and strengthen future generations' investment to sustainable policies and practices. So hopefully over time, the website can encourage a behavioral change that lends itself to incorporating more sustainable practices that supports the well-being of the state as a whole. So some data based on my deliverable. So data was collected for the use of educational technology for instruction in public schools by the National Center of Education Statistics. This survey was mailed to over 1,300 public schools within the 50 states. And the statistics are weighed to represent all public schools and not just those who answered. This table in particular shows the percentage of public schools that report on the extent to which online resources are gathered or created by teachers themselves. So a majority of teachers reported that they themselves locate a moderate to large extent. So about 47% moderate and 39% large extent to which that they collect these resources themselves, which definitely suggests that there is a need for a deliverable that offers online resources to teachers in schools. And, especially due to the pandemic, teachers are turning more towards online learning lessons and other supplemental resources to add to their curriculum. So the next table shows the percentage of public schools that report on the extent of different types of online resources used for instruction at the school. So rather than textbooks, whether interactive or non-interactive, it was found more that supplemental resources were used to a moderate extent at about 46% for instructional purposes. And by these statistics, there's definitely a need for an online bank of resources that teachers can use to supplement their existing curriculum. So my target audience includes the Hawaii Department of Education, the Office of Hawaiian Education, and the Hawaii Tourism Authority. So the partnership between these three entities would provide the support needed to encourage educators to implement these practices within their curriculum. And really to develop an initiative that is both consistent and can provide long-term support should be backed by these entities. And without DOE support, teachers would have little incentive to add to their existing curriculum, especially without standards that would help guide them. And also, without OHE and HTA, the initiatives would have less support when it comes to community connections and, of course, long-term support beyond school. So the proposed solution, in order to address regenerative tourism, utilizing creative media skills as a platform to promote accessibility and usability, a user-friendly website will be developed that offers K-12 teachers and students the resources and opportunities to introduce regenerative tourism practices with a focus on Hawaii-specific natural, cultural, marketing, and community-based education in the classroom. So this targeted approach to Hawaii-based education will foster a more meaningful connection to the land and hopefully strengthen future generations' investment in sustainable policies and practices. So for the production of the project itself, pre-production, I will need to start by gathering information and resources such as lesson plans, activities, other opportunities, and resources that will be provided on the website with a focus on 3 tiers of education. So this would be elementary, middle, and high school. For the actual production portion, I will be utilizing WordPress to create the website. And this will include planning such as creating wireframes, mockups, of course, the implementation phase and testing phases with at least 3 iterations. For post production, after implementing the actual production phase, I will launch the website via WordPress. And hopefully by focusing on the UX and UI of the solution, it will offer teachers and students a more seamless and enriching experience that has a really clear image, brand image. So these are some examples of potential final deliverables of the website. I want to make sure that it is really clean and easy to navigate. I could break it down by different types of lessons, activities, just based on the type of resources. It could be broken down so that teachers can just really quickly and easily select what they're looking for. And then this is a second example of a final deliverable. I really like the idea of also breaking it down by education level. So this could be elementary, middle school, or high school. So teachers have a way to sort through exactly what they're looking for. Because of course, a high school teacher wouldn't necessarily be looking for an elementary activity. So I really like how that's broken down. And also, I could potentially divide it by who accesses the page as well. So an educator portal, a student portal, or even potentially a parent portal. But yeah, that is the end of my presentation. Thank you so much for listening.